Hey everybody, David here. Before we get started with the podcast, I wanted to let you know that we are having a special podcast this week. We hear from Eric Breder, who was in New York City for the last week on the Seed Week trip. But before the podcast, we had Christian Vance call in and give us an update of just what's going on with him. And before the podcast gets started, we're going to play this audio clip from Christian Vance. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for the opportunity really quick just to share some highlights and takeaways from this past Seed Week. First, just wanted to thank you all for sending a team from Revolve. It was so life-giving to see everybody and kind of bittersweet when everybody had to leave. Just felt kind of sad and missed our home and all of that back in Cape May. And so I'm really thankful you guys were able to send up a team. Overall, was so encouraged with how God used the team with everybody individually and just some of their takeaways. I know each person has their own stories and some testimonies and things like that. One of the things I guess I wanted to really share about, and I guess maybe was a tweak that we've done with Seed Weeks this past summer, is really focusing on unreached people groups. I mean, obviously with International Project and living here in Queens, that is our primary focus. But one of the things we do is ethnography up here, and we really try and help each participant have a basic understanding of the people they're trying to engage, and even some of the roadblocks that they're going to run into. And so when it comes to ethnography, we basically break it down into this framework where we talk about festivals, family, friends, and faith. And from that, you're basically asking questions to get to understand these people and their worldview and where they come from. And they're happy. A lot of them are happy to share about what they believe and all of that. And it's an opportunity for you to share about what you believe as a follower of Jesus. And you'd be surprised by how many people are actually open to listening. And when you have somebody that's open to listening, you're basically using that as a filter to see if they're willing to do a discovery Bible study. And so just from this past week, we had a few people interested that are open to reading the Bible. I know from a contact that Sarah had made in, I think, Corona. It's a neighborhood here. He's a Bengali man. We are bringing him a Bible tomorrow, which is great. But also, too, the contact that Jen had spoken about, a Bengali Muslim woman, she has been passed off to a long-term worker here with International Project, and they're going to be meeting up in a couple days, as to my knowledge. And so it's such a beautiful thing to see that when we are faithfully planting seeds of the gospel throughout Queens, you see whose God is already preparing the hearts of those people. And God is just using us to plant those seeds. And so it's super, super encouraging to see. I was just so blessed to see how God also stretched some people. I know Emma had a rough first day, but then throughout the week, she just had basically prayed out to the Lord and just said, God, would you just use me in my weakness? And it was really cool to see how God stretched her and just to rely on him for strength, but also that he would, use her for his glory and his ways. And so really encouraged with how the Lord used the Revolve team and just some of the follow-ups that we have from that previous week. And so, thankful for you guys and look forward to hopefully seeing you in August. So love you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, Christian, for giving us those updates. And it's all really exciting to hear what's going on, and we can't wait to share this with you. So let's get on to the podcast with a special guest, Eric Breder. Welcome to the Revolve Recap weekly podcast, where we help the members of Revolve Church deepen their connection to God, His family, His mission. My name is David McCumber, and I have a very special co-host with me.
Bill Lackey.
No.
Oh, sorry, that's what it says on the paper. I'm Eric Breder.
Eric Breder. Thanks for joining us today, Eric. Eric he's special. Eric's going to be taking Bill's place today, and because he was on Seed Week.
Yes, it was.
So, Eric, if you don't know Eric, let me give you a little background. Oh, Eric's been coming to Revolve for a couple of years now. He's been discipled by myself, by Bill, been through the hub. You were on the noon platoon calls. We did some one-on-one discipleship. You were in RDG. He's a good guy. Bill and I are very proud of Eric, and He's got this job up in Trenton that we just don't want him to have anymore. We really want him to move back. But Eric got to go to Seed Week last week, and we're going to hear, if you were at church on Sunday or if you weren't at church on Sunday, we're gonna give you a little deeper behind the scenes look at what Seed Week is. You ready, Eric?
Yep. Let's go.
All right. So it says on my notes here that you're single as well.
Yes.
So just in case any, ladies on the YouTube.
How many people watch this?
I don't know. I think it's just Gina and Melissa, so they better not come calling. All right. So we have a question of the day. I know you listen to the podcast every week, so you already know this, but we start each episode with a question of the day. Normally it's a surprise, but you peeked at the
It's on the front page.
You peeked at the notes. So question of the day is what? So we'll do 2. Is that all right?
That's cool. Yeah.
So this is what we ask everybody. Well, when I say everybody, I mean when Breton and Steve came on. What is your brand? What is the Eric?
I see on the
brand?
notes that Bill says it's Bergenstocks, and
That's what he says your brand is
I want to set the
Birkenstock.
record straight. I am a Tiva man.
Oh.
Got them on right now
my
for the people that watch. But I guess
if you're listening to the podcast,
yeah,
Eric just put his foot in my face.
I'm a little more granola than Bergenstocks. I got the Tivas, but
Whoa.
I guess my brand would be maybe like a Honda Civic.
Okay.
I just feel like I'm very, I'm not the best car. I'm not the best out there, but
Reliable.
I'm reliable,
Affordable.
I can go forever. 200,000 miles. I could be a racing car if you wanted. People trick out their Honda Civics, but they're probably not the fastest car out there.
What do you mean you could be a racing car? Like if you needed to
the Honda Civic to me seems like it's a jack of all trades but a master of none, because people do like to trick them out to make them go fast, but I'd imagine they're not the fastest car.
So do you get tricked out to go fast, like on a Friday
I could,
night?
like
You,
sometimes, yeah,
get dressed up fancy.
yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that about you. I don't know. I would see you as more of a Subaru Forester.
Well, yeah, that's what I drive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so maybe that's why.
The Honda Civic. That's good though.
Yeah,
That's good.
I just feel like I'm reliable. Might not be the best out there, but
You're dependable. You're sturdy.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. I like that. So Breton's was Books A Million.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Steve was the Godfather brand.
Godfather
franchise. Yeah.
Does that include like the T-shirts they make, or was he
Yes.
specifically talking about the
Just
movie?
the whole thing.
Okay, the whole brand.
The whole brand. And then Bill's is I think Walmart T-shirts. Or
I thought Bill was like Patagonia or something like that.
Columbia.
Your Walmart T-shirt.
Nope.
Your gray T-shirt.
I wear gray T-shirts, yeah, but my brand is Carhartt. I'm a working
right,
man.
yeah,
I'm tough.
that's
Keep
true.
you warm in the winter. All right. So if you had one, let's do another one. Do a bonus one. What skill would you like to learn by the end of the year?
Skill.
I think I changed mine while you're thinking. Last week I said, is it beekeeping? Maybe I couldn't remember. But as of yesterday, I want to learn. I want to write a 5-minute stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah. I think you'd be good at
skill.
that.
That's a skill.
I think you could have a good routine.
You want to hear a joke I wrote today?
Sure.
So, that burritos and ghosts are very similar.
Why is that, David?
Well, because when you first see them, you get really excited until they go right through you. Wasn't that good?
That was actually really good.
I wrote that while driving today.
That's really good.
Yeah. So,
How many minutes did that take?
Well, it was driving for like a half hour.
Okay.
But I was like, man, I want to write a joke about a burrito. And I really...
So would your whole 5-minute stand-up be...
Maybe all about burritos, I
think you're onto something. I don't know if this is a skill. Maybe woodworking, because I've really wanted to carve a bird-shaped whistle. Like, it looks like a bird, but when you blow in it, it's a whistle.
That's cool.
But I have to be able to do woodworking, so...
So the skill would be just to improve your woodworking skills.
Yeah.
Your skill. But
Which I
the
have none
task
of.
is you really want to make a bird whistle.
Yeah.
That's cool. Bill's a wood carver.
Okay.
He makes spoons though.
Okay.
So I don't know if if you can whistle with a spoon.
Yeah.
All right, good talk, Eric. All right, so we're going to get into our first segment. We do looking up is, connecting to God. Looking in is the body, and looking out. But we're going to focus a lot on what Seed Week was and what what was happening there. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but I want to give us an opportunity to go a little deeper. So you ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right. So the team just got back. It was you, your brother, Evan, Emma. We had Sarah Burgos, TJ from North Carolina.
North Carolina. But
and who TJ used to come to Revolve, and then Jen.
Yep.
Yeah, was that the
six?
Whole team?
Yeah,
and
six
then,
of us. If you count Christian.
And then Christian, Vance Pants.
He led it though, so he would.
Mm-hmm. And then and you were with a larger group?
Yeah, so within Seed Week, I don't know how many Seed Weeks they do a year. I think it's they do 3 a year, and it's for 4 weeks. But pretty much churches from all over the country come. And for this specific Seed Week, there was a group from, I want to say it was Virginia, not West Virginia. It was Virginia, and they had maybe 6 people as well. And then there was a group from Oklahoma who had must have been 15 people. They had a good amount of people. So it was, I guess, a group of total of almost 30 people, a little less. I think it was 28 was the total. How'd
the Oklahoma people do in New York City?
I mean, I didn't really see them in action, but the debrief, they had some.
Yeah.
They had some good stories.
I just see New York City is just so intimidating.
Yeah, but I think they were so friendly that
Amish.
They were. No. Oh, I hit the gong. No, I just think they were so friendly that they saw right through the New York hustle and bustle. Nice. So they almost were immune to it, which I think would have been, in my experience, would have been better for me to be, because coming from the New York metropolitan area, sometimes I'm like, oh, I know that person's busy, and I know people don't like to be bothered when they're busy. Or I felt like someone from the Midwest is like, oh, people like to talk, even though that's not necessarily true about New York City.
Yeah.
But they had some good debriefs.
Now, did you when you went out in pairs or went out in groups, did you stay within Revolve, or did you pair up with other people from other churches? We
stayed within Revolve. We stayed within our group. So what we would do is when we're at the training at the church, we would learn a discipleship tool, like a street evangelism tool. We would pray, debrief, talk about some experiences that we had the day prior, and then we would go out with your church to a different neighborhood in Queens. I think the Virginia or the Oklahoma people, someone went to Harlem.
Whoa.
Which was, I was like, oh wow, it's not even Queens, but I don't know. They said
How'd they get there? They took a bus?
I guess they took a train. I don't know.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Anyway.
Well, before we get into too many details, let's just try to go systematically.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. We'll go systematically through the week. So you guys went up there on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday night, yep.
Sunday night, and then where did you stay?
We stayed
Ritz-Carlton, or
yeah, we stayed at the Trump Plaza. No, we stayed at it's called a New York School of Urban Ministry. I guess it's a school. I don't really know, but
you just stay in the dorms.
It was pretty much like dorms. There was bunk beds in each room. Each room had did have a sink and your own toilet in each room, but the showers were I guess communal for the floor.
It was like Dave Matthews Band posters on the wall.
Yeah, no, completely empty. There was an AC unit, which was
nice,
which was huge. Not sure if the filter had ever been placed in it, but it kept us cool, which was definitely a blessing. But it was pretty much like a college dorm.
Were you and your brother was roommates?
Yeah, me, Evan, and TJ were roommates. I had top bunk.
Nice.
Bunk beds, yeah.
Nice.
So many room for activities. And TJ had his own bunk bed, but we all did have Tempur-Pedic mattresses. So
nice. So you got up Monday morning. Did you do group devotionals together, or did you do breakfast?
Yeah, so
I cut your brother off on yesterday, but now we can talk about that now.
Okay, we got more time. Yeah. So basically we would all kind of wake up on our own. Just how it worked out was pretty funny. TJ would wake up pretty early, then I would wake up a little bit around 6:30, and then Evan would wake up, and then we would all, as Revolve, we would all meet for breakfast at the cafeteria they had there. Breakfast started at 7 and ended at like 8. And then after breakfast, we would all meet as Revolve in the lounge and just do a quick little read the word and pray together. And every morning Jen had like a passage picked out. It was really, nice. Jen really was like the engine. Like she kept us on. Oh, I hit the gong again. I talk with my hands.
I know.
I talk with my hands.
Well, you're in New York all week.
Yeah,
you're like, hey, yeah, forget about it.
Gabagool.
Yeah. No, that's Jen when she's here too. She kind of keeps.
So I was like, well, it was. Yeah, she definitely.
That's great.
She had us working like a well-oiled machine, but we would do a little DBS, little prayer time together, and then we would run and grab coffee or whatever, hop on the subway, and then get to the church, which we would train at.
You're like a real New Yorker.
Yeah,
you had like your cup.
Yeah,
and you're like
had my briefcase.
Nice.
Nah, I didn't have a briefcase, but
that's cool.
I wish I did.
And then you went to a church, and then that's where you would meet Christian there, and
yeah, we would, and we were always
we were
always the first.
Pants?
No, it was in shorts.
Tight shorts though. Shorts? Long shorts?
I didn't really inspect his shorts. They were like regular shorts.
What's regular shorts?
Like I would say,
like shorts you're wearing
like
now?
a little bit above the knee.
A little bit above the knee. Okay.
Yeah, not tight.
I was just wondering. I haven't seen him in a while.
He's wearing shorts now, I guess. I don't know.
Vance shorts just doesn't roll off
It was
the tongue.
really hot though, so
yeah.
I know I'm jumping ahead, but a lot of neighborhoods we engaged with were, Islamic of the Muslim faith, so a lot of the women that went out would wear pants. They wore like flowy pants, but for the guys it wasn't as strict. I guess strict. You didn't have to wear pants unless like if you were invited to a mosque or something, they were like, yeah, you'd have to wear pants to do that. But just engaging people on the street, you didn't have to wear pants.
Yeah.
So I didn't wear pants.
So you didn't wear pants.
I wore shorts though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there was something.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you get there, you see Vance pants. He's there.
Vance shorts.
And then what's a Monday morning look like?
So the Monday morning at the church. So we would get there. We were introduced to, I guess, some of the other people that worked at International Project with Christian. There was one girl that worked there full time, and then there were 2 interns that were just there for the summer. And they were there kind of helping teach some of the tools, and they had been out in these neighborhoods, so they kind of gave some insight.
So what was the first tool that you guys
the first tool we did was the 2 Kingdoms. Okay. Which is pretty much for people at Revolve that watches have done the hub or gone prayer walking with us. It's pretty similar to the 3 circles, except there's
one less
2
circle.
circles. Yeah, they streamlined it. Yeah,
streamlined it.
So we learned that it's pretty much just like a quick. You can get through it in like 5-10 minutes, depending on how long you want to explain it. But it's just a quick, effective way to just share the gospel on the street. Now,
before that, did you guys do brutal facts?
We did do the brutal facts. So
So what are brutal facts? What is it? I mean, you don't have to give me the details, but what are brutal facts?
Brutal facts are basically that in Queens there's, I want to say like 50 unreached people groups. And an unreached people group is what I guess missionaries consider a group, like a cultural group of people that have less than, I want to say 3% believers, 3% evangelical believers. But I remember them saying it's usually way less than 3. It's like 1%.
Yeah.
So basically there's, these huge groups of people living out there that have no access to the gospel, have no idea.
Yeah. I remember a Christian did the brutal facts for Cape May County. And I kind of feel like we should dig them up again because I feel like that would be helpful when we do prayer walking and stuff here and doing the hub, because it is, I think, if I remember correctly, it was like, for Cape May County, it was like 10% people claim to be Christian,
right?
But it's like in actuality, what is that for real?
Yeah,
it's probably
3.
closer to 3.
Yeah. So the brutal facts help you really put it in your mind of like, this is the importance of spreading the gospel, right? And you're kind of like, wow, this is like legit, and like especially coming from, I mean, Dave just said there's like maybe 10% Christians in Cape May County, but I mean, there's churches all over, and then you don't really get that idea that like, wow, there are people out there that. They can't just walk into a dollar store and find a Bible. There's no way for them to really even hear the gospel because there's no evangelical Christians in their society. And then, you even start thinking about the country. Because like in America, I mean, you could probably just brush it off and be like, oh, eventually they'll meet someone, they'll hear something on the radio. But then you think like, oh, there's countries out there where, how are they going to hear it?
Yeah.
And that's basically, it's like a gut punch in a good way.
Yeah. It's inspiring to
motivating.
Yeah, motivating is the right word. All right, so then I remember yesterday you guys started talking about it's the ethnography.
Right.
Am I saying that right?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
Ethnography?
I think it's a short O. Ethnography.
Ethnography.
Yeah, it's Latin.
Ethnography.
Yeah.
So what is
Something
that?
like that. That's basically someone's ethnic understanding. They use the word worldview a lot, which basically is like, in layman's terms, is how do you view the world? No, it's basically how what your culture does, like what they believe, what foods they eat, what festivals they go to. Are they like a hospitable people, or are they not hospitable? Will they not invite you into their home? Will they talk to you on the street? And
I think even what you were saying with how females should be more conservative or whatever, that would be a worldview.
Yeah. So a lot of what they were mostly the cultural group they were engaging were Muslims. So a lot of like the facts I have are strictly probably like about the Islamic faith, but obviously for any culture, any religion, there's
Now was the people group you were kind of zoomed in on, was it Bengali?
Yes and no. The first day we went to Corona, Queens, which is a neighborhood of like 85% Hispanic.
Okay.
So, but the Jackson Heights area has a large Bengali Muslim grouping, and then we weren't specifically engaging Bengali Muslims, but I felt like that was where the heart of like a lot of the people in International Project, their heart was with like the Muslim faith, and there is just a huge Muslim community within Queens.
Yeah.
So, for instance, one of the things that I not strictly, but I clearly remember them talking about worldview is like if you were to approach like, let's say, an atheist on the street in like Cape May County, it would be likely that this atheist and you could maybe get into almost like a mental sparring match debate. Like, this is why the Bible's true. It's backed by like this much facts and yada yada, and you could explain like science, and the atheist might be like, oh, this is why the Big Bang's true, and you could disprove that through facts. And I wouldn't say an argument, but a debate, but with the worldview of like someone from the Middle East or Bengali or somewhere like that, is they have like a shame honor worldview. So it's almost like if you were to say something that they believed, like the Quran or something, is fake, then that would shame them, and it's very shameful for you to say that, and they would just kind of shut you off and be like, I don't want to talk to you.
Wow, that's a really great thing that you guys learned that. You know? Because I think in our culture, I would say with our worldview, so if we were to look at this through a lens of, someone in South Jersey, it's almost like it's very common for us to be like, well, your side is wrong, my side is right.
Yeah. That's almost a Western way, like a Latin, I don't know, like a Western way of thinking.
But that's cool that you guys learned that. So you're not like, you're going to be wrong, I'm going to be right, because then that shames them and shuts them down.
Yeah. So. And I think that's a good tool for, even if you are approaching someone from a Western culture, if you start off kind of, and everyone has their different, ways of evangelizing, and it works but I just think starting off with saying you're wrong, you're already kind of putting that barrier up. Yeah. And one of the things they stressed with International Project for Seed Week is like, just get to know this person, like just talk to them, and if you want to push the gospel, then absolutely do it, but just. So I think Emma was mentioning this at church yesterday during the panel, but at International Project they were just kind of reiterating the idea that like these people aren't a project. You're not out there with a checklist trying to say, I have to share the gospel with 100 people, even though that would be great, but you're approaching people as an image bearer, as someone that is made in God's image, and God has a desire to draw to him. So you approach someone like that, and it kind of just changes your worldview, to use like one of their words, but it changes your whole scope of going out there and sharing the gospel with them.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what we talk about in the hub, is building relationships. You have these, you make Shema statements, you make these spiritual statements to try to make those bridges, but ultimately we're loving our neighbor, and we're making disciples through that, and we're not looking for this, especially where we live. You have more relationships where it's not like in New York where you're like thousands of people that are just like everywhere. So no, that's really cool. So we're definitely not going to be able to get through every day for the amount of time we're taking, but I think this is really good, Eric. This has been helpful, really kind of seeing some of this insight. The next tool it looks like I had on my list was 4 responses to the gospel, also called red light, yellow light, green light. So that's explain that to me.
So the 4 responses.
Well, yeah. So the 4 responses.
So the first response that isn't listed on a regular traffic light would be they are a believer.
Yeah, so this is if you share the gospel
Yeah.
with someone or you're making some spiritual conversations, like what their response is.
Yeah. So you could go up, have a nice conversation and then maybe say, hey, you get to the point where you can share the gospel or talk about Jesus in some capacity, I guess. And then I guess there's 4 general responses that someone will have. And, one response could be like, oh, I am a Christian. I go to church. I believe that Jesus is my king. And you're like, oh, great. Pray for them, maybe talk to them, buy them a scone. I don't know. Or it could be what they call a red light, which is basically they completely shut you down. They get angry or they say, I don't want to hear about that. I don't want you to pray for me.
Yeah.
That would be a red light. So, okay, I'm not going to push this
Get
conversation
out of
any
here,
further.
pal.
Yeah. Then there's a yellow light, which would be like, some general interest. Maybe they're like, yeah, you could pray for me. I have a friend that prays for me all the time, but, I don't really go to church. I don't really know if I believe in that kind of stuff, but, I'm a spiritual person or something, some sort of indication where you're like, okay, like, this person has some interest. They seem open. And in that case, you would want to kind of maybe press further in the conversation, or if you have a opportunity to, invite them to do like a Bible study, a DBS, you would do that. And then there's a green light, which is basically, they're not a Christian, but they're like, yes, like, sometimes, you could hear crazy testimonies where people are like, I've been having dreams, of someone calling me or something like that. Or they're like, yeah, like, I've heard about Jesus and I want to learn more. And then that's like, it's just, you got to knock that out of the park. Basically, That's like, you're lobbing it up there, and you would definitely want to follow up with that person and be like, hey, like almost coach them through that. Yeah.
I think what we find is most of our conversations are yellow lights.
I would say,
And we think that's a red light just because they're not like, yes, please tell me more about Jesus.
Yeah.
But most people are just kind of like, oh, I know. But it's like sometimes people just don't really know how to have spiritual conversations because they're not really, they're not really there. But yeah, I think that's good. That's a good thing for us to remember even here is in our conversations of, unless someone's just like, don't talk to me about Jesus.
yeah,
Just
or
keep
start
pushing.
screaming at you. I don't know, something.
Just keep moving forward. So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll look at what you did on Tuesday. That was just Monday.
Wow.
Wow. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. You know what? We actually didn't. That wasn't even all of Monday. I realized looking at my notes because you guys prayed. Did you guys pray before you go out?
Yeah, they do, and they mentioned this in church. They call it a prayer go round.
Prayer go round.
Yeah, they actually sing that. There's a whole.
Is the whole
song.
thing?
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
You're making that up.
Nah, I made that up. There's no song.
what a-
We would sing.
This is a really serious podcast. You're in here just cracking jokes. Like, man, this is
This is a funny
disappointing.
guy.
This is disappointing.
They call me funny guy, Eric. Am I at that level? Can I do the inside jokes?
Yeah, you
yet?
could do the.
Yes. Funny guy, Eric.
Is that what they call you?
Yep.
All
That's
right.
what I call myself. No, but we would sing some worship songs, to open up. And then at the end, they would do the prayer go round. And basically, since there was 28 of us, they would you would pair up with a partner, and then they would read a scripture. So, for instance, they might read like, Luke 10:2, like the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. So they would read that and they'd be like, so for this next, I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to pray that God raises up people for the harvest. He raises up workers, and you would pray with your partner. And it was all out loud, which like I mentioned this in church, just like that corporate prayer time is like something that, not that I wrote it off, but it was something that had been lacking in my spiritual life, to just like pray out loud with like, I think it was like 30 different believers. Like you do feel, the Spirit is there. He's there anyway, but you definitely feel that. But anyway, so you would pray with you'd pray with your partner for like 3 minutes, and then they'd be like, okay, rotate, and then one person would get up and go to the next person, and everyone would kind of go
So
around.
you pray with all the different
Yeah,
folks.
and then they would read like a different scripture, and they're like, now we're going to pray that, maybe you find a person of peace or something like that. So, and then once that was done, we would launch, find a neighborhood to go to.
And then it says that you guys would go out into the harvest.
Right.
Why do they call it the harvest?
Well, like I said, Luke 10:2 is the Jesus says the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. So basically, the harvest, I guess God wants to cultivate, believers. He wants to cultivate people to sticking with the farming idiom. He wants to cultivate people that, make Jesus his king. We were looking for persons of peace. We were looking for people that were maybe a yellow light or a green light, and we were trying to follow up with them and read the Bible with them. And
Nice.
yeah.
All right. So, and then you would come home. You guys have dinner.
Yeah, we would get done probably around 5-ish, 4:30 or 5. We would meet up by the train station, whatever subway station we got off at, head back to Nice. We spent almost every night with Christian or Elena and the kids. It was really nice to see them. So we would generally go meet up with them if they weren't busy, but generally, you go get dinner and share amongst your group and just have a good time.
So then the next day, so I kind of have a look at what your whole week is like. You would start the next day with a debrief with the whole team. Would everyone share?
When we went back to church, they would. We would come in and we might sing some worship songs, but then they'd be like, "Oh, does anyone have any like testimonies, any stories to share? What went well? What didn't go well?"
And that was the next day.
That was the next day. So you're like, okay, if it was Tuesday, we're like, this is what happened Monday. If it was Wednesday was an off day. If it was Thursday, you'd be like, so happened Tuesday.
Okay. That was just Monday.
Yeah, there's so much.
There's so much that you guys did.
I'll try to be more brief.
No, it's okay. I think we're gonna move on and kind of.
I'm like a civic.
I know. You're so thorough. But no, I wanna hear now like what you learned, and we're gonna like unpack it and see like now what do we take what you guys learned, and then how do we apply it here at Revolve.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So we're going to take another quick break.
Okay.
We're going to shift gears now. We're going to be like kind of looking in now of like how do we apply this to Revolve.
Got it.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. And Eric, I really appreciate you coming down here.
Thanks for having me.
I know you had 60 emails you had to respond to after taking
something like that. Yeah, I think it was 63
after taking a week off from work. But okay, so what are we going to do now? What did you learn about your relationship with God? Like what you learned for this week? What are you going to do? Like, I feel like whenever I come back, I'm like all amped up. Like, yeah. Like, I've never been to Seed Week, but I've been on, plenty of other trips, and you get like really excited and really jazzed. And I think for this specific one, it's so like when I go to Greece, it's like a totally different thing. Like, I was jazzed on what God was doing in my heart and what was going on in Greece. But this is like what you're learning, you could be applying every single day almost.
Definitely.
Here.
It's definitely obtainable.
So what do you do?
So for me,
this is like hot seat. This is really hot seat.
For me personally, I think that prayer time. I shared that in church. I shared that earlier on the pod, but just definitely praying with fellow believers, corporate prayer. Obviously keep the quiet time prayer. That's also important, intimate time with the Lord. But just that corporate prayer and how important that is, and how life giving it is, and it's like putting premium in your Honda Civic. Yeah. Something like that. It really gets the engine, it gets it going and pleases the Lord. I would also say for me, it's just like, I had been through a time just before going to Seed Week of just like getting caught up in my job and getting caught up where I'm living and all these different things where, those things are important, but it's like, when you're really spending a week of just sharing the gospel and just spending time with fellow believers, you're like, man, the gospel is the only thing that's like really important. All of it's worthless, know? So to apply that to everyday life, I'm still trying to wrestle through that, this week coming back, but it's like, keep the corporate prayer time. Just share the gospel whenever possible. Are you going
to DG tonight?
Yeah.
So your brother will be there?
Yeah.
And Emma?
Yeah.
Nice.
Corporate prayer.
Yeah.
On the beach.
Well, I think what I would suggest is that the three of you should, definitely be kind of almost like spearheading that and, holding each other accountable.
Right.
Spearheading that within your discipleship group of like, praying together.
Because I would like to say we could easily just, do more prayer walks and do more corporate prayer, which are important. I think we should, but it's almost like changing, for me personally, it's changing that heart posture. It's like wanting to further the kingdom, wanting to go out into the harvest, desiring that God moves through you, desiring to be a vessel. And that, I guess, changing my heart posture towards that. And then I think you'll have a desire to want to go do prayer walking. You're going to have a desire to want to pray with Christians, and it's almost like I'm trying to think of like a on the ground type of way to do that.
If you look at John 15, it talks Jesus talks about abiding.
Yeah.
And in the I think it's towards the end, like 9, 10, or 11, and he says that, ask ask what your heart's desire is, and the Father will give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're abiding, if you're in the Word and you're in prayer, your heart is going to be, it's not like, well, I want to ask for a sweet Ferrari. No, I'm going to start asking that I'm going to have fruit in the harvest, because your heart in abiding becomes more like Christ, and then you have this desire to go out.
Yeah.
So it's an overflow of your abiding. So would you say that was impactful to you, that time spent in prayer before going out?
That 100%.
Yeah. So what bit of advice could you give to our listeners and viewers based off of what you learned and what you just said to me? What's some advice that you would give them?
I would say spend every morning in prayer. First thing you do before you go out to your job or you go out to school or whatever you're doing. And if you're married, pray with your spouse, pray with your family if you have a family. If you have the ability, this would be sweet. Meet up with some Christians before work. Like, if you all work at different places, maybe like meet up at McDonald's and, just pray together. And, I think that I would say prayer is definitely like the one thing that I'm really like, one thing I could pull from this week is just like dig into that prayer life. 'Cause that's really, if you're not equipping with prayer, then it's tough.
Well, we're going to hold you accountable to that.
Okay.
And then you got to hold your brother accountable to that.
Yeah.
And then he's got to hold Emma accountable.
Yeah.
And just so on and so on. That's discipleship. Right? All right. So Bill says, he says this often, that the best way to develop community is serving together, and short-term trips are a great place to do that. Did you see that happen this week?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because, you're spending majority, if not all your time with these people that you went on the trip with. So the other 5 people from Revolve that we went with, spent most of my time with them. And then even throughout the day, like with one of them, you're spending just like one-on-one time, and you get to know that person pretty well. And but it's also just like serving alongside someone.
Yeah.
It's like you're at, I don't know if battles, but you're like going to war together. You're going to the big game together, and you're like relying on each other. And it's almost like it breaks down like those social walls that like people tend to just naturally build. Like, I don't really know this person that well. Yeah. So I'm not going to really open up. But when you have to rely on them, you're like, man, like, you're getting frustrated. I remember there was, this is like a little more personal. Like, me and Sarah had gone to Corona to share with a guy that her and Jen had talked with. And I went with Sarah, and then it was like 90 degrees out. And every person I'd gone up to kept saying, I don't speak English, only Spanish. And I don't speak hardly any Spanish. So I was getting so frustrated. And Sarah pretty much just called me out and said, called me out on my frustration. I was like, okay.
What'd she say? Stop being a chump.
Pretty much something like that.
Yeah. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Fancy
so I was
pants.
like, and if I didn't have someone there to say that to me, I probably would have just gone even deeper into that frustration. And yeah. So
that's cool.
Having someone to serve along with, it really does just break down those walls.
So what happens often in church is people want like an artificial fellowship of like, let's do a potluck together, and that's how we'll make friends. Or even within your discipleship group, it's like, oh, we're going to meet every week and we're going to make friends. But it's like that relationship deepens when you're serving together.
Yeah.
And I would say even with us, like when we went prayer walking a couple of times, it was like it kind of deepened that relationship then from just like having, Discovery Bible studies together. So my advice for, listeners or viewers of the podcast, if you're feeling disconnected from the body of Revolve, either join the serve staff, you could serve together that way, or plan some sort of, outreach together, making sandwiches for the homeless, or, going up to Kensington, with the group that goes up to Kensington, there's opportunities to serve. But to wait for the church to just like force these like friendships. Like we have beach days and it's like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not forming a friendship like, you know, like you and TJ probably have now from, you know, serving
And I didn't
together.
really know him that well prior. I'd been on a Zoom call with him a couple times, but now like, now I feel like I could just hit him up and be like, hey man, how's it going? And it wouldn't be, you know,
What's
weird
up?
or feel forced. Yeah.
What's up, homie?
Yeah. I'd probably just text him shawarma.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked about a lot of shawarma
All right.
in New York City. It's a food. But,
I know what shawarma is. I've been to Egypt.
Oh, so you had to,
Had the real deal.
original.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna Eric's gonna bang on some more stuff here on the table. We're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna look out to see you know what we do now with all this stuff, and bring it to Cape May. All right, everybody, welcome back. You guys, now we're gonna kind of dig in to see like what we can do now with what you've learned and apply it here in Cape May. You guys now are the third team that has gone to New York City, and I feel like I've never gone to Seed Week, but I've seen it every time a group comes back. People are like really fired up for prayer walking, for sharing the gospel, sharing 3 circles. You know, Hannah and Elena got 3 circles tattoos. You know, I remember Ryan Pittman had like a stack of cards in his front thing of his car and was just like doing 3 circles with everybody. It seems like that eventually kind of fizzles out, and I'm not bashing those particular people that I use as an examples at all, but you know, how do we keep this going? How do we keep this excitement going that you guys had probably Friday afternoon? You know, how do we now, in the weeks to come, how do we keep it to where, what's your thoughts, Eric? It's always good to get an outside, you know.
I mean, it's
the elders,
difficult.
we like, you know, we're always kind of thinking of
Echo
things.
chamber.
Yeah.
No, it's difficult because, you know, when you are on a missions trip, you know, those people that go on a mission trip, that group of people go because they want to go. You know, I know not everyone probably has a desire to go share the gospel, which is, you know, you would hope that changes. But anyway, so the people that are going already have a desire. You know, you are only focusing on sharing the gospel for that week. That's your main focus, and you're praying. And it does get difficult when you come back home, you know, and then you have like your home life, you're balancing your work, your family. If you're not, you know, a missionary out in the field and that's your job, then you have a job to worry about. So, I mean, man, it's a loaded question. I just think it's... I
was just kind of hoping you'd have all the answers, Eric.
Yeah, me too. I think it's maybe organizing more prayer walks. More.
I know that... sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
I know that at Hannah, I talked to her yesterday, and she said that when they got back from their trip, that her and Elena like deliberately would once a week or once a month go out, you know, in Cape May, and go prayer walking and share the gospel, and they kind of got discouraged because it didn't see very very much growth, and then in the wintertime, it's like hard to find people, so that kind of fizzles out. So I think, you know, kind of what she had said and what you were alluding to before I interrupted you was, you know, just kind of like maybe just more opportunities to do it.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the abiding, because like, you're going to strike out. It's going to be winter. There's going to be no one to share with. And what do you do during those off seasons? If you lose that time of abiding with Christ through prayer and through reading the word and through your own, you know, personal time, then, you know, when you're not seeing results, then you're going to be, when that discouragement comes, you're going to fall away because you don't have that bedrock. You know, the house isn't built on a rock. Yeah.
I think Bill and I had we were kind of throwing some ideas around yesterday. I think after the service, we were just texting back and forth, and you know, we were saying like, what if we were to start a group, like maybe it met in person or maybe it met online or something, that like all we did, like we met once a week. So like looking at like conversation quadrants and like our own personal relationships, and basically having like a journal that has every 8 people that you're you know, are building relationships with, and then every week you just get together and you say like, I had this conversation with this person and I prayed for their wife. Their wife was sick and I prayed for them. And then like we would hold you accountable the next week to say
accountability,
like,
definitely huge.
Did you follow up with that person? And then we're going to pray. So it was like, you meet for like an hour and it's like 15 minutes of it is just accountability.
Right.
And then like 45 minutes is just praying for all those people. And it's like, that's all the group is. It's not a discipleship group. We don't do anything together. It's just a group. It's just for prayer and accountability, specifically for going out in the harvest.
Yeah. Because with those relationships, that's where most, that's where you have the best time to disciple someone other than just, prayer walking's great, but I'm probably never going to see like those people again that I talked to in New York City on earth, maybe in heaven, but you're never really going to see them again. So it's really, I didn't expect to go there and convert someone.
Yeah.
To use that word, but yeah, it is.
But you have roommates and you have friends and
there's
coworkers and I have clients and, there's all people we have relationships with.
And I really think, a fellow member of the church, the body holding you accountable, definitely.
Yeah.
And then you get to hear other people's testimonies because, like, when you hear someone else share, like, oh, I had this great gospel moment and my friend really came through and I'm baptized or something. When you hear that, even though it didn't happen to you, like, your spirit gets kind of juiced and you get on fire. And then now it's like building, So I think a group would be a good idea. So more intentionality, more...
Yeah, so I think Bill and I are going to talk about this a little bit more this week, and maybe we'll loop you in as well in some text conversations because we were just chatting about it and brainstorming about it, and I would like to see that happen. And maybe we could chat with some more of the people who've gone in the past, like Ryan and Hannah. And,
because now they're 2 years out now. Maybe they can have time to be like even reflect more because I'm still kind of on that. Mm-hmm. I'm still kind of.
Yeah, so talking about some people who've been in the past to see like what we can do to kind of spark that flame up a little bit. So, and then, but I would definitely encourage you tonight when you're meeting with your discipleship group, talk with them about that kind of stuff as well. So, so we're going to take one last break and we're going to come back and we're going to do some announcements of what's going on this week at Revolve. And I'm going to let Eric get out of here because you got discipleship group. All right, welcome back. Thank you, Eric, for your time, for your insight.
Thanks for having me.
It was really great, and I always love talking with Eric. He's a good guy.
Thanks, Dave.
So, just wish he was around a little more.
Yeah.
Tried to get him a job here.
We're
trying. So, if you're an engineer and you're looking for a guy to drive your train, Eric's your man. Is that what you do? Are you an engineer?
Yeah. I've never driven a train though, so don't.
Oh, what kind of engineer?
It's environmental engineering.
All right. Well, one of our 34 listeners out there might be someone who's looking for an environmental engineer.
If it has benefits like health insurance or something, I definitely it doesn't have to be engineering.
Yeah. We want to get Eric back to Cape May. Hashtag, we're going to start that. Hashtag Eric back to Cape May. All right. Well, so just the guys to give you a little update of what's going on here at Revolve. We got the beach hangout this Sunday after church. So it's Pittsburgh Avenue in the Crest. After church, grab some food, get a Wawa hoagie, go on over, and we're just going to hang out at the beach. So that's a good time. And then we're taking the month off from book clubs, the month of August. So the ladies' book club is still going on. We heard an update from Christina about that last week. And so they're going to finish out the month of July. And then the month of August, we're taking a break, and we're going to come up with a 12-month schedule. And I heard that you might be teaching.
Yeah, Brenton asked me to teach, so I don't know what yet.
You don't know what yet?
There's been some ideas tossed around. I feel like we change it a lot.
This is exciting.
I think we're doing, am I allowed to say?
Yeah.
It's not set in stone, so I don't know. I don't want to blow up his spot. Maybe the parables, Jesus' parables.
Oh, yeah, I saw that book, yeah.
That was the last one we landed on, but then he said they're not doing classes for a year or something. Or
no, we're not doing classes
5
for
years,
a month.
1 month.
Are you real good with numbers?
40
I feel
years.
like if you're an engineer, you should be better with numbers.
Yeah, that's what computers are for.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so actually Eric and Breton are going to be doing a class
Hopefully,
together, hopefully pretty soon. And then if you remember when The Godfather, Steve Tecco was on last
good
week,
nickname.
he talked about, or 2 weeks ago, he talked about his group that's been meeting for discipleship, and I think a couple of those guys are going to get together and they're going to do a class together. So it's really exciting. Kind of the goal of, kind of the second year of the book clubs is bringing in some new leaders, and so it's not just the elders, but doing some leadership development and seeing some new faces. We have one thing we talk about a lot as the elders is we have a lot of great leaders that we think are underutilized, and we just want to get better at empowering them to do their thing. So it's going to be exciting to hear Eric and some new teachers. So if you have any questions about Seed Week, talk to Eric or Emma or Evan, Sarah, Jen. I don't know who else is gone.
TJ.
No, you can't ask TJ. He's not here.
Yeah, but he's got a phone.
Does he? He doesn't answer when I call.
Oh.
Just kidding. All right.
Shut it
So
down.
yeah.
End
So
the
if you have any
podcast.
more questions about about Seed Week, reach out, let us know, and the next time they do a Seed Week excursion trip, what do
should
they
go.
call it? You should
Just
go.
go. I want to get... Why?
Yeah.
Man, because even if you're afraid to talk to people on the street in New York City, just spending that week just, with your brothers and sisters, and even having one opportunity to share the gospel is like, with someone that's never heard it, is
There you go.
refreshing.
That's the reason to go. You could have the opportunity to share the gospel with someone who's never heard it before. If there isn't a reason better than that, I don't know it. Thanks, Eric.
Doesn't exist.
We'll see you guys all on Sunday.
Thanks. See ya.